Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Kevin Life. I'm the president of the Young Israel of Hillcrest. And it's a pleasure to be here at this wonderful ceremony. The founding of a synagogue by a small group of individuals requires a tremendous sacrifice of time and resources. We were lucky enough to have such a group of men and women who, more than 50 years ago, had the foresight and commitment to start the Young Israel of Hillcrest. We will be forever grateful to this group and to the hundreds of individuals who, over the years, made the Young Israel of Hillcrest the very special shul that it is today. There was, however, one person who had the greatest impact on the Young Israel of Hillcrest and on the Hillcrest community. And that person was, without a doubt, Rabbi Sholem Kowalsky, Zecher Tzadik Levracha. Rabbi Kowalsky was the driving force in making the Young Israel of Hillcrest, at one point, one of the largest Young Israels in the country. And even today, I believe we remain the largest Orthodox shul in Queens. Probably the most compelling reason why I decided to run for president again 2 years ago was that I felt it was incumbent on the shul to pay tribute to the memory of Rabbi Kowalsky in an appropriate way. At our annual dinner just about a year ago, we devoted a wonderful evening to the memory of Rabbi Kowalsky. At that time, I announced that it was our intention to have the street in front of the Young Israel of Hillcrest renamed in memory of Rabbi Kowalsky. And thanks to the efforts of some of the people here tonight, that dream has become a reality. In the next few minutes, you will have the pleasure of hearing a number of short presentations by individuals who helped make the street renaming a reality, from some good friends of the synagogue and of the Jewish community in Hillcrest, from Rabbi Weiss, from Elazar Kowalsky, the son of Rabbi Kowalsky. And now I'd like to turn it over to Councilman James Gennaro, a good friend, and the person who was most responsible for getting the street renaming proposal through all of the governmental red tape.
Thank you, Kevin. And I have some notes. I don't think I'm really going to use them. And I'm so eager to hear much more about this wonderful man that I never got an opportunity to meet or to know. But I feel like I know him from talking to people about him and how they glow when talking about him and how special a man this was and how his impact is still so present. And I'm just grateful to have played a small role in this, and I want to recognize in a special way some friends who I always like being with, and are just wonderful for the community. Rabbi Weiss, who gave me a very good deal with the chametz this year, which is great. Sold it back, made a little profit. Why not? It's all good. And so, thank you, Rabbi. I look forward to. May all of your congregants keep buying that single malt. I'll keep drinking it. And members of the Kowalsky family, I was looking forward to meeting you, and a real pleasure to be with you tonight. Barry Grudenchik, my colleague in government, who was our deputy borough president, and if I play my cards right one day, like maybe I'll have that job, and so I would like that job. Alvin Roshaviak, who first came to me and said, "Yeah, we really ought to do this, and it's a great idea," and he said, "I'll make sure we have no problems with the community board." So that was wonderful, and it's a real honor to be with you all. I feel blessed to be here. I always feel blessed when I'm in the presence of people from Young Israel of Hillcrest, and to be here on all the many special occasions. But this is super special, and the street will live on forever, as will the memory of Rabbi Kowalsky. Thank you so much for having me, and God bless you all.
Grudenchik, the Queens Deputy Borough President and also a good friend of the Young Israel, to say a few words.
Good evening, friends. It's really an honor to be here on behalf of our Borough President, Helen Marshall. This building and Rabbi and Rebbetzin Kowalsky have such wonderful memories for me. In the late 60s, my mother and father and a bunch of other mothers and fathers sent a bunch of kids my age most of whom I still see 3 times a week in a station wagon driven by Rabbi Yonah Fuld to the Young Israel of Hillcrest so that we could get a solid Jewish education. And Rabbi Kowalsky, to a 7- and 8-year-old, was a very, very imposing figure. But he was a very, very sweet man. And I have very, very fond memories of him. His Rebbitzin was my first grade teacher here. Mr. Lazarus, his son-in-law, was my bar mitzvah teacher, although Alvin tries to take credit for that from time to time, but it's not true. And, you know, communities are made up of individuals, but they're also made up of leaders. And the fact that we're here this evening is a testament not only to my friend Jim Gennaro's power of persuasion down at City Hall, but it's also a testament to the fact that Rabbi Kowalsky helped to build this community along with his wife. He led a very, very strong way and a very, very decent way. And the fact that you're all here tonight and you took time to remember a man who hasn't lived in this community for a while but is very fondly remembered says a lot about him and about what he did and what he accomplished here. This is a beautiful community. I was blessed to live here for a number of years with my wife and my son. And I just want to thank everybody who was involved in making this happen. We do a lot of street renamings now in the city of New York, but this is a very, very special one for this community. So my congratulations to you, to Alvin, to our councilman, and thank you all for being here tonight to remember Rabbi Kowalsky in such a wonderful way.
And Barry, thank you for actually pointing out that I was remiss in mentioning Rebbetzin Kowalsky. She really was a powerhouse in her own right and was as much a part of the growth of the community as was Rabbi Kowalsky. Now I'd like to call upon Ms. Inbar Sharon. Unfortunately, Rory Lansman, our assemblyman, this is his night to be up in Albany, so he couldn't be here tonight. But Inbar is from his office and going to be speaking.
So Rory would have really liked to be here today. He is a member of the synagogue, and he very much would have liked to commemorate Rabbi Kowalsky with you all tonight. But I have a brief message from him. He would just like to say that, from his own perspective, the Young Israel of Hillcrest is more than just... Is that better? Is more than just a religious institution. It's also a place of gathering for the community. And similarly, Rabbi Kowalsky was more than just a religious leader. He was a absolutely remarkable community leader as well. And so he is more than deserving of this honor, and it's just wonderful to be here to commemorate him in this way. Thank you.
Now I'd like to call upon Alvin Washabiak, who's the chairman of Community Board number 8. And really was the guy who I went to, certainly up front, to find out how you do this. And he really led the way in getting the process through. So thank you so much, Alvin.
Yeah, Alvin.
About 35 years ago, when I moved in, on a Shabbos afternoon, we were invited by neighbors for lunch, for a tea. And we were about to go, my wife and I, over to the house, and all of a sudden the husband comes over and says to me, or says to both of us, you know, we don't talk about the rabbi because we didn't know the names of the people, but Aviva and Henry Lazarus were the children of Rabbi Kowalsky. So for 35 years, I don't know, it stuck in me. And I said to myself, what would I say about Rabbi Kowalsky today? And what I would say is, Rabbi Kowalsky was dedicated to his constituents, to the shul members, to the shul, to the community, and to Klal Yisrael. To his constituents, to the shul, members of the shul, the tales that are told, and I wish I had time to tell them, of how he helped numerous people are legendary. To the synagogue and the community, the mere fact that we are here today enjoying this community and this synagogue is in no small measure due to the dedication and hard work and effort of Rabbi Kowalsky. And to Klal Yisrael, well, Rabbi Kowalsky, during the period of time that he was the rabbi here, as well as the period of time after he retired and moved to Eretz Yisrael, was involved in many different activities, both on behalf of American Jewry and on behalf of Israeli Jewry and on behalf of Russian Jewry. So he has a very large legend. He is a very large legend in the annals of both being a rabbi, but especially in the community of Hillcrest. And there is a Gemara in Sanhedrin which says, Chizkiyahu Melch Yehuda, the king, Chizkiyahu was a king, and from Dan to Beersheba, there wasn't an adult, male or female or child, that did not know the laws of Tumen Tahara, of moral cleanliness. And as a result of that, when he passed away, the Gemara in Baba Kama states that next to his grave, they built a yeshiva in acknowledgement of all that he did. So it is in no small measure, actually it is in a small measure, that we dedicate this street in front of us to the memory of Rabbi Kowalsky. May he continue to be a Emeritus for his family, for the congregation, and for Klal Yisrael. Yehi Zichro Baruch. May his memory continue to be blessed.
I know Congressman Weiner, Anthony Weiner, was hoping to get here on time. Apparently he won't be here on time. He will be speaking a little later. But I did want to note that Mike Luck, his special assistant, is here, and he is representing Congressman Weiner. Now I'd like to turn over to Rabbi Richard Weiss, Morda Asra, who will say a few words.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Thank all of you for coming. All of you have been here short or long periods of time. Those of you who knew Rabbi Kowalsky personally, those who know of him through others who know him personally and through all the vignettes and all the legacy that he has left behind here, literally in concrete form. I want to acknowledge the presence of Rabbi Yoshe Schechter from Or Motion, Rabbi Leo Hartman, Rabbi Baruch Dov Braun as well. I really just want to read Rabbi Kowalsky's own words, which I think speak to a little bit about what he was thinking when he assumed the role of leadership here in the United States, and then, as Elvin just pointed out, even when he retired to the State of Israel. See, in one of his books that he actually was gracious enough to give to me and my wife, my daughter, when we visited him in Israel a number of years ago, together with visiting your mother as well, for the Kowalsky family, though we didn't have the privilege of meeting her in person. So he writes in one of his books, Nechamat Shalom, in his introduction, he writes the following, and I think it speaks for itself. I admit and confess that neither as a child nor during my teenage years did I ever dream that I would enter the rabbinate. Although I knew my forefathers were great rabbanim and profound pious Torah scholars, I certainly never saw myself fit to don that mantle of leadership. To me, the position of a rabbi was sacrosanct and elevated. It was reserved for the true Torah giants that prevailed in pre-war Europe. My education had been interrupted by the war and other family circumstances, and I felt that my scholarship did not rise to the appropriate level. But my sense of perspective was forever changed by the war, the void it created, and the desperate plight of our people in its aftermath. I was tortured by the colossal question, why was I left alive when all of my family and so many righteous had perished? While I was in a new country with much to learn, I was convinced that I could contribute or would fail in the endeavor. My success or lack thereof would not, however, be for lack of effort. I concluded that the Master of the Universe must expect me to be part of the rebuilding process. American Jewry, which at that time was a spiritual wasteland, needed the young to commit to the future, or God forbid the prospects were bleak. Everything had to be done to raise the banner of Torah and Yiddishkeit. I think that this conveys the fact that Rabbi Kowalsky's commitment to community was not based on a personal, professional drive, rather on the contrary, but something that he felt he was, in a sense, destined, and that destiny needed him to contribute so significantly and so concretely. In conclusion, for close to 50 years, I invested my efforts, time, and passion to establish Torah institutions until my last Rabbanus in America, the Young Israel of Hillcrest, Queens, New York, which blossomed into a beautiful home of Torah and Yiddishkeit, thanks to Rabbi Kowalsky. Yehi Zichro Baruch.